you share with me today will be kept confidential, and your name will not be revealed on the tape or in my paper. If at any point I have reason to believe you're a danger to yourself or others, I will be ethically required to break confidentiality, and if this occurs, I will tell you that I need to break confidentiality and will immediately terminate the session to seek the appropriate professional assistance. Do you agree to have this session video recorded for approximately 20 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So previously we've discussed safe topics, which are appropriate to address throughout the course of our conversation. As a reminder, a safe topic is a topic, not necessarily a problem, that has been identified as something you feel comfortable discussing in the context of this practice helping interaction. Remember, safe topics reflect personal issues that you feel strongly about and are comfortable sharing. For purposes of this class, they should not relate to world issues or political views. The safe topics we've discussed and approved for addressing in our practice helping interactions.
I need to get some,
In 1 minute, please. Give us a few minutes.
I'll help you when we come out. It'll be 15 minutes. Go on.
Okay. So we went over 4 of your safe topics. One was poor work-life balance, long-term financial stressors, developing health problems, and worries about your aging parents. So are there any topics that you'd like to discuss? Do you have a preference?
No.
Okay, well, how about we'll start with your work-life balance. Where do you work? And what is your occupation?
Benchmark physical therapy. I'm a physical therapist.
Okay. And what about your job requires so much time?
Documentation.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that some?
Well, we're required to do documentation on the computer for each patient seen, and it sometimes is always very difficult to do that while the patients are there, because we generally have more than one patient at a time. Up to 3 patients are there at one time, so it's difficult to document while the patients are there.
And are you expected to have the documentation done as you're working, or are you paid when you're at home doing documentation?
No, I'm not paid while I'm at home. It's expected that you should be able to do it during work time, but if you see 17 or 18 people a day, that's difficult to do.
Okay, and so how do you feel currently about your work-life balance?
I don't really like it because I spend at least an hour every night or more, and at least 3 or 4 hours on a weekend catching up on documentation.
Okay, so it sounds like you're often burnt out by your job.
Yes.
And have you ever considered an ideal solution to address this problem?
Well, the ideal solution would be to have a job where I can actually document as I go, or if I could see only 1 patient an hour, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. And have you considered any other ways to address the issue as like it stands without switching roles or jobs?
Well, I've tried voice to text to see if that was a little faster, but it didn't really end up being significantly enough faster, and was difficult to use sometimes in the context of the note, because they do have you try to click on, have pick lists to try to speed things up, but it's hard to use a voice to text for that.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like it's tough for you to address this issue without possibly changing employment, which may not even still be a solution. So another topic we discussed last time was developing health problems. Do you currently have any health problems you're concerned about?
Not real. I mean, I have some arthritis that does impact my work because I use my hands all day, and my hands are what's probably the most arthritic. So I worry more about that if I ever had any injuries, I would not be able to work.
So, do you, what are you currently doing to address to avoid developing health problems?
I try to exercise a lot and keep myself healthy so that I don't, I'm less likely to get injured or to ward off the arthritic changes that can occur.
So, with the worries about your aging parents, what are your concerns?
Right now, the major concern is that they live so far away. Right now, they live about 3 hours away. So, and they're not always forthcoming about when they're having problems. So, it's hard to keep an eye on them, I guess, to know what's going on with them because they aren't always, they don't always tell us when something is wrong or they're sick or that kind of thing.
And you have siblings?
Yes.
How many?
4.
And have you discussed this issue with your siblings?
Yes, we have discussed it, so we try to, some of us are better than others at keeping touch with them on a regular basis, but.
And do they feel similar about their concerns with them living far away?
Yes, we would all like for them to move closer to where we are.
And what is the challenges of them moving closer?
Financial, purely financial. For them, the cost of them moving into the level of care that they would like to move into here, like a senior apartment or whatever, is very high. The rents are as high as $3,000, $3,000 to $4,000 a month. So.
And is this issue something you've discussed with your siblings? Have you guys been able to consider any alternatives?
Not really. We've suggested alternatives that instead of doing that right now, that they just move it, that they just try to buy a place here that's closer to where we live and just, buy it versus paying rent. Of course, then meals are not included, and that's one of the things that my mother, I think, wants is not having to cook, having meals included. But I think mostly my father is just not ready to move into the level of care where they get any assistance. I think he's perfectly happy.
Yes, it sounds like they both value their independence
Yes.
still a little.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you discuss these concerns with your parents often?
Well, probably more with my mother than my father, but ultimately it's still their decision. We haven't pushed them that much. We're still kind of leaving it up to them to make that decision about when they're ready to move.
Okay. Do you mind checking the time? Did you set the timer back? Okay. Well, we're just gonna wrap it up because I don't have anything else to say. Okay. Well, just to actually go back and summarize, the concerns about your parents, they still want to be independent and they have financial stressors that they're worried about, and it sounds like you and your siblings have similar concerns. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And hold on a second, I have to read them. I'm supposed to close this. Okay. Well, that's just concludes our time for today. Thank you. I don't have any direction on how to end it, so I'm just gonna do it.
It only ended up being 10 minutes. Is that long enough?